tonight, I think the power of the internet is on our side tonight because there are no storms present here in the Midwest, at least ones that would make us go away from the stream.
Well, that's been true for the last, handful of days?
Yeah, it's been wild. We weren't live Monday night. There was a pretty severe looking storm coming through. And while it didn't do a whole lot directly over where Chase and I are, we weren't very far away from some potentially squirrely weather. And we're getting near a 1-year anniversary of the tornadoes here around St. Louis. So everybody's just still a little jumpy. Our alert systems are tuned in a big way. We're all just a little uneasy about the frequency and proximity to things.
I had to go down to the basement twice in one day. And and that wasn't even for the quote unquote big one.
Right.
Because the big one split around me this time, thankfully. There were tornado warnings north of me and south of me, and at the same time.
Yeah,
that storm system, for whatever reason, was a little weaker in my area, so it was just a ton of rain and wind, but not, the baseball-sized hail that they kept forecasting. Thankfully.
Yeah, it was pretty wild for sure. So I'm very happy that we're all doing okay. I'm very happy that we get together to talk about some games. We've got a couple new things to go over on this episode of the Casual Hour. It's episode 467. It's currently April 29th, 2026.
It's what, Bobby? What episode number is it?
467.
What if you said those numbers individually?
467.
Fair enough.
I'm not falling for your antics. I have 2 nephews. So we're going to talk about some games on the list, at least for me tonight. Far Far West came into early access yesterday, and then Vampire Crawlers I've been playing pretty religiously, so we'll cover that. Chase has a relic, it looks like, to talk about. Maybe
I have a brand new video game.
Brand new for the show, or brand new as it just came out?
It's been out for a little while.
Okay.
Maybe a couple of years, but I think it's gotten relatively recent updates. I don't know. We'll talk about it. So we got some stuff there, and then there's been a little bit of buzz happening on the internet regarding Sony and Microsoft, specifically the Xbox brand. So with the ongoing strike against Microsoft, this is not us endorsing anything or going into telling you what to do or how to believe when that stuff is coming across your feed. We're just going to talk about some of the stuff that's happening around the leadership and more directional changes that's come out since Asha's taken over as the CEO and head of Xbox Studios. So we'll comment on that in a little bit, but we're going to have a laid back what you've been playing. We appreciate you tuning in and listening. And Chase, I'm glad you're safe and that the weather is not weathering. Same to you, brother.
Thank you. So I'm going to start with Far Far West. Correct me if I'm wrong. I showed you this on a Next Fest, correct? This was the Western, really cool kind of like saloon, go out. You had to do the boss battle. It was basically Helldivers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have. Sorry, I was like, is this Far Lone Sales? Is this
No.
But yes, I remember this one.
Chase, this game fucking rules. It's such a, this is one of the most polished.
What? Bobby likes a video game. I'm shocked.
I play games and I do not hold myself back from enjoying things in life. I'm a little bit older than you and you'll get there. I feel bad for the youth.
Yes, you're so much wiser than I am.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But Far Far West is a very good one of these. I did call out Helldivers 2 just a minute ago. I would say it's like a Helldivers. It's like a Deep Rock. It is a co-op game, but you can do this single player. I have not gotten too deep into like a raid style environment of this, but you can also join up with people. It's got a really robust matchmaking system in it. So the loop on this one is you have a saloon, you can upgrade the skin, the emotes, all that fun stuff. You can upgrade specific weapons. You can go in, cash in a currency to unlock all that stuff. And it has like varying levels of, it's also wizardry. So you get spells that you can upgrade. And you go out and there is a core objective, a core boss fight, and a get back to the train. And you do all those things, rinse, wash, and repeat. There's other, they didn't have this in the demo that you saw, but there's other events that you get to do on other parts of the map. I've stayed in that one area that you were, and I'm trying to knock out the actual like persistent questing that you get now, because that has unlocks. But man, this is one of the most polished early access games I've seen in a while. Like, this feels so feature rich. It feels very competent. It's so much fun to play. Like, this is a game that I think will really do well when it hits home consoles. That I don't know when that is. It's PC only right now, but cross-play, cross-progression, PCs. It's, I think $20 is what I paid for it. Let me double check. 10% off, $17.99 right now, normally $20 in early access.
So genre-wise, you mentioned Deep Rock and you mentioned Helldivers. Do you see? I guess I've asked you a similar question to this before, especially in regards to Helldivers. But do you see a difference between this genre and then the Tarkov Arc Raiders marathon?
Oh yeah, genre? This doesn't feel. One, like, you're not getting parts or anything of that nature. You're not at risk of losing any of your gear. So it's, in that regard, it's like, I have my loadout. This is what I'm using for this run. I'm going to have these 2 spells equipped. I'm going to have these 2 weapons equipped. And that's what I chose to go into this battle with. Now, you're going to get sidearm ammo. You're going to get your primary ammo, and you'll get kits to like restore your utility that you can bring with it. That's it. You're going out. There's certain quests. There's certain things like, hey,
yeah, like you're still, you see where I get there though, right? Because you are still like going out, doing a discrete mission, coming back, extracting in some way. Like there does seem to be some kind of connective tissue, but I agree. I think it's really important to denote a delineation when
do you think
one is about like losing loot by dying. Like having that, I think, is a really good distinction between these two.
This is a weird way to get there, okay? But just stick with it. I kind of feel like Mass Effect. You would go up on the Normandy. You would like to have your relationships, have your gear, all that stuff there. But then you would go down and do your missions or land on planets to explore them. It feels more akin to like that than it's closer to that in my mind than it is in Arc Raiders. Like, where I have a hub where I'm maintaining things, whether it's upgrades or like, this is where I'm socializing. If I was in a crew, it's like, we're just shooting the shit. Hey, we're going to take this boss out. Let's have these things. Like, we're kind of doing that on the hub area. And then we're just going out and doing little fetch quest stuff out there, which that piece of it, like, in Arc Raiders, you go underground, you're talking to the vendors, you're talking to people you're playing with, you're picking out, like, I want to do this quest when I go up top. That part of it, yeah, I can see where you get there with like an extraction shooter in that regard. But everything gameplay wise, the stakes are just not nearly as high as an extraction shooter. And I think that makes this feel way more of like, man, I had a long day. This isn't quite like friend slop like a Peak is, but it's definitely one that you could just throw on with some buddies. Like, that's how I treated Helldivers. That was just an unwinding, like, dumb shit. We were playing it, having a good time. This is really fucking good though. Like, you have a horse. The questing seems good. The events are a lot of fun. The public events, the side quests, the weapons, all of it feels great. Like, I'm having a ton of fun with this one.
What's like the setup for why you're doing this in the first place?
That I haven't gotten at this point. Maybe they're going to add more narrative, like you're here, but you just literally start the game and you're in a saloon. That's it.
So you're just like a Wild West. Like, it is still spacey though, right? Like, are you like
it
space
feels
cowboy kind of thing?
This feels like it could be in the SteamWorld universe.
Okay.
And like all the like some of the character designs, I'm like, damn, you look straight out of SteamWorld Heist or SteamWorld Dig. Like, they're all steam powered robots that, like, the train can be a rocket also. It's just really weird, bizarre, fun stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe there is something that they're going to add into it, but like, there hasn't been like any narrative stuff to why you're doing this.
Seems cool. Like, I remember watching it on Casual Mondays with you, and it did seem, you know, what did you say the price was? Like $17.99, something like that?
Yeah.
Like, that is certainly a far cry away from the full price that you're going to pay for
a like $40 marathon
for like a marathon or like a Helldivers. And I think the game shows that it's certainly not polished to the to the to the degree that some of those other games that we mentioned are, but it does seem like it has the ideas, the proclivities, I guess that's not exactly the right word I'm looking for, but it has the knowledge of what they want to do in that type of genre. It seems like they know kind of what they're going for and are doing a pretty good job achieving it.
Yeah, man. Like it's what's funny is this is the first one of these where I'm like, I think this is kind of taking the torch and running next to a Deep Rock in a lot of ways. And Deep Rock has a new game coming out next month. And it's going to be very interesting to see like an early access game that people seem to very much appreciate right now. It's got very glowing reviews. Goes up against kind of a forked version of Deep Rock that plays the closest to Deep Rock. It's not like a Survivor game or anything. It's called Rogue. And it just feels very much kind of like in between Deep Rock and like a Left 4 Dead in a way. So it'll be curious to see how that goes toe to toe with this in just a few weeks from like player bases and stuff. Because I think there's a lot of overlap. It's a flat circle pretty much of people who like Deep Rock and who like this.
I hear there's a lot of games that are like Rogue.
There's, Rogue likes or lights. There was a game even I think called Rogue Legacy at some point. I don't know.
I don't think we should be allowing any games to be called Rogue anymore. Like there was a game called Rogue, and we're still talking about games that are like Rogue. You can't just come out and call your game Rogue. And just be like somebody comes out and goes like, "Oh, hey, I made a new game. It's called Dark Souls." I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're not allowed to do that.
It needs it's like a delineation in a way of like DX. Like when you see a DX, it's like of a type almost of a way.
Yeah, but DX is when I think that that's basically just saying remastered or
isn't that remake. What all of these are trying to do is just remake that one thing of Rogue in a way?
Well, it's different because usually the remakes are coming from the people who made the first game.
Oh, that's fair.
Like Link's Awakening and Link's Awakening DX are made by the same people.
Yeah.
Tetris and Tetris DX are made by the same people. Like to say, hey, we made a new game and we're calling it Rogue, and it's a lot like that other Rogue, but we're also calling it Rogue. Like, what? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. And it doesn't actually sound like this Rogue that you're talking about is actually like the other Rogue. I mean, like the original Rogue.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
I guess
still, like that has become a genre name at this point, a very well established genre name,
a subgenre name at this point.
Sure. How can you just go around and say like, "Oh yeah, I made a game. It's called Rogue." Like, fuck off. You're not allowed to do that.
What happens if the game that was riffing on a Metroidvania decides to take that riff onto another riff? What happens then?
Well, I hope they didn't call the game Metroidvania, because that would also, like, if you call your game Metroidvania, that's the name of my video game.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. What game are you talking about, though, Bob?
Do you want its government name, or do you want what I've been calling it?
I want to know what you've been calling it first, so the audience, so the podcast listeners.
We're talking about vampire crawlers.
Oh, I wanted your name, not the government name.
Oh, my name is Bobby.
God damn it, Bobby.
I don't know any Roberts.
Had a different name for
I do have a different name. That's what you were. We both do. We both do.
Well, we both have a name for vampire crawlers?
Well, we both have a different government name. But Vampire Crawlers, its official government name is the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors. So Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors is its full government name.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you had like a completely different nom de plume for this game or whatever.
No.
So you're going to say like, "Oh, I just call it crack." Like that's what I've been calling it.
Oh, I call it lost wages. No. It is crack cocaine. This is a hell of a drug. You don't want none of this shit, Dewey. And I mean that.
Well, I wasn't able to get any of this shit because the one time we tried to play this in early access for a Steam Next Fest demo, it very much didn't want to play with our
it was not setup. It was not working well.
That's not a fault of the video game. Like, big deal. It didn't work with our streaming setup. We weren't able to play it. But You still were showing it to me over Discord, even when that didn't work out. And I gotta say, when I first saw this, I was really unimpressed. Like Vampire Survivors, the original one, that is a game not known for its graphical fidelity.
Correct.
And Vampire Crawlers continues that tradition of looking kind of like butt. But Vampire Survivors ended up being a real phenomenon because the gameplay was so interesting and addictive and fun. And
but I didn't like it,
but not loot boxy in a way that you're putting a bunch of money into it. It just is taking some of those same kind of casino style, hey, you won, like keeping your attention, but doing so in a way that is not predatory. And that was really fascinating. And Vampire Crawlers, the bit that I got to see from you playing it, seemed kind of slow, a lot like so many of these other kinds of card games that we've played that like dump a ton of names and words and mechanics that all need tooltips. That it was cool when we first got it in some of those games, and then it got really stale. And so I'm wondering, like, why is this the move for Vampire Survivors? But it sounds like so I had all those preconceptions about it by seeing this little slice of it. But now I'm hearing everybody is loving this game, including you. So I'm kind of curious what happened.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that it's a surprise. I didn't have a great time on that demo either. I was pretty let down by it. Yeah. And while I've warmed to the Vampire Survivor likes, because there's a fuck ton of those now.
You're the reverse. You didn't care about Vampire Survivors and slowly got into it. But I'm going to tell you, like, this is one of my favorite things I played this year. This thing's great. And I don't... Wow, Bobby likes a video game. Alert them.
Yeah. Like, that's why people come here, that they want to know what's good. And I have a very good track record of what's good. I do. I actually play video games. Isn't it weird? That's weird, right? Playing and enjoying something.
I played a ton of a video game.
Yeah, singular game. Anywho, Vampire Crawlers is very, very, very addictive. The loop has really satisfied me. So this is a deck builder. It is probably one of the simplest deck builders that I've been dealt, no pun intended. But it doesn't ask a ton from you, but at the same time, it will punish you pretty quickly for poor decisioning. And the strategy of it is what you have, you need to kind of efficiently figure out. It's not about like the whole engine loop of your build as much as it is of the sequencing of what you're building. And that is really fucking cool when you think about what is the most efficient way, because that's what the game rewards. And that carries over into the larger premise here of its whole dungeon crawling is what's the most efficient way that we can give you one of these. And I think that's really
that was
cool.
That was similar to Vampire Survivors and also to something like Ball Pit too.
Yes.
Which was, it's extremely easy to get to the point where you get another power up. But the real skill of the game requires you to choose those power ups wisely.
Yeah.
To be able to, exponentially go higher instead of just additively go higher.
Correct.
Where and especially in something like Vampire Survivors and also Vault Pit, but Vampire Survivors kind of did it first, is hey, you only have a limited number of these kinds of upgrades. You had like 3 active things and 3 weapons and then 3 kind of like passives. And some of those things could combine, and when you combined them, then it opened up a new slot so you could have another kind of power up. And so it was very strategic in that way of like, okay, I can combine, the scythe and the holy water, and now I have to level those up really quickly early so then they can become one thing. And now I have 2 extra slots for weapons, and now I can go and collect more weapons. And it sounds like Vampire Crawlers is kind of doing similar things, but now with cards. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're again. I don't want to tell people like you have to have played Vampire Survivors, or you had to like that game and to like this. Like, it is just more of the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen. Like if you knew what the garlic did in Survivors, you'll probably be able to say like in a turn-based environment, it has a similar effect, which is going to be more radial. It's going to help like kind of push things back in that regard. So let's talk briefly. When you're in combat, you are getting, you start with 3 mana points. You have like each character has some attributes that affect like your spread of like the effectiveness of what you're using or the mana. They all have a little quirk. So your starting deck is based on who you're running with. But everybody that I've been playing with can kind of upgrade and get certain things, like whether it be daggers or garlic or one of those. Like I can get that for my build. The other thing that you should know is that there are lanes to a degree of how you're being attacked. So this is you're facing forward. It's not like a top-down or isometric view when you do your turn-based.
Yeah, it's like a Dragon Quest, right? Like it's
Correct.
Like a first-person RPG style.
Totally.
Combat.
So there are, and you don't have to choose the lanes. And there's attacks that will go down lanes, but I don't have a whole lot of control over it on like where it will be going. But there's certain ones that have effect across all lanes. And in those lanes, there's movement forward. And there's not like a 3-2-1 sequencing that you see. You're just visually inspecting the proximity of these enemies coming towards you. That's how you take damage. If they get up to you the next time, if you don't knock them back, they're going to be hitting you. So like that plays into not only the sequencing of your efficiency on what you're using, but it's also like, I need to time this out to have something with knockback or something that can take care of that front row, or I'm taking a hit. So there's some cool stuff that you can do when you talk about upgrading, because you're getting cards that have an ability. So like if I get a Bible, it's not a Bible, it's a book though. What the fuck is it?
A holy book or whatever.
Yeah. So if I get a holy book, that's going to give me a mana point. And that book costs 1 to use. But my armor might be 0 to use, and it's going to give me 2. So I might be dealt a holy book and 2 armor pieces. And it's 0 mana to put that armor on. So if I hit that 0 and I put the armor on, it starts my combo. Now, you would think like just put more armor on. Yeah, that's true. You can do that. But it might be better because you have 2 pieces of armor, a dagger, and a holy book. So the sequencing would be put my armor on. I have that ready to go. Now, that holy book is actually going to go from 1 mana point to 2 because I'm sequencing, it's a level 1. So I'm going 0 to 1. And anything that you combo increases the output of that item. So this gets really interesting because you can start to then find upgrades when you're on these dungeon crawls that allow you to stamp a card. I could stamp a card that's going to immediately put a piece of armor on me. I could stamp a card.
In the same way that like Balatro has stamps
Correct.
On cards that
100%
trigger effects. Yeah.
That is such a good call because I told you this off pod last week or before a stream that this is scratching that itch. It's scratching the Balatro itch while not being a Balatro-like. Sure. It's doing that for my brain. But what gets really fun is you can go up. And so if I know that I have some bigger cards that I've had combos on that are now like level 3, if I need to exhaust my mana, maybe I'm picking up things on the build that let me start with 4 or 5 mana. Or maybe I know that I have so many mana cards that I'm always going to pop with a 0 and I'm going to increase my next mana pool and have myself, and I can start to just basically burn through my entire deck. You can start to do things like, hey, if I play this card, I immediately draw 2 more. Perfect. I'm putting that stamp on every one of my free cards. So not only am I putting armor on, I'm getting 2 more cards every play. That's going to allow me to build up my mana. I'm starting to plan out my combos. I know when I have knockback. That shit's all so much fun. And when you have your dungeon view, you have an overhead view of where you're at on the map, and I know where all the power-ups are at. I know where all the enemy types are. I know when the exit boss is. So you're getting through a dungeon the same way that like you're doing a Risk of Rain, find this gate to summon the boss fight. So you have a big boss fight, and then you go down. Every level so far is 5 levels deep. There is a bridge that I think will connect to a bigger world, but right now it feels like a very big skill check or an intentional horde mode. Those are things that have been very interesting to navigate. What has been so much fun, one, this is completely deck compatible if you have a device like that. I have played this game exclusively on my AIM Thor, and it runs so fucking good on there. It's great. It has been such a fun little pocketable device to have that game on, because I could play it for an hour. Like, that's the thing. I'm like, I'm going to play 5 minutes. I'm at a dungeon pour. I'm going to go down. I wake up like an hour later. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I've been playing this for an hour. It's cool, man. Like the hub, you can recruit a bunch of different characters. It has like a museum to show you all your upgrades and unlocks that you've gotten. There's cool ways to track that. I have cleared multiple stages. So when you get to like level 5 of the stage and you beat it, death shows up and kills you and just takes you back to the village. That's so $9.99, I think, is what it costs, by the way. Yeah, $10. There is a demo on Steam. I think this is on everything. I know it's on the Switch. It's on PC. I'm pretty sure it's on Xbox and PlayStation. It's cool, man. Like, I love that I turned on this, because I really was pretty gun shy about picking this thing up.
Sure, and it's easy to see why. Like, you did not take to the original Vampire Survivors until a lot later, if ever. Like, you started to get into that genre, but I don't remember you ever saying, like, "Oh, Vampire Survivors is actually a really good game."
Yeah.
And also, like, we've had this discussion so many times. These games are kind of a dime a dozen. Like, we've seen so many roguelike deck builder style games, and it's so, we've had the discussion of, why would I pick up another one of these when Monster Train is still so good? Why would I pick up another one of these when, Balatro is so good? And there are a handful of these that have risen to the top. Inscription has risen to the top. Why am I forgetting the one that just got the sequel this year? Like the kind of original one. God damn it.
Oh, Slay the Spire 2.
Slay the Spire, thank you.
Yeah,
yes. Like, Slay the Spire kind of started it all. Like, they've risen to the top in some way. So, where you do think that this has like found its own niche where it's able to kind of claim, I have my own territory within this genre, and it's worthy in a way that, so many of the other games that we played, even good games like Griftlands. Like, Griftlands was a good game, but it's one that we're like, I don't know, it's good, but also, we've got a billion of these. Is it better than all the other ones that we played? I don't know. We fell off Driftlands.
I think this is, it's not asking nearly as much as like a traditional dungeon crawler, and it's not making you have to feel like you need guides or calculators. And I don't mean that in like it's a game for dummies. It's very smart, but it's very competent in doing a lot with a little. And so you can get in and out of this. Like, this is the thing that like I can see a ton of people playing. Like, I'm holding my kid, I'm relaxing, I'm like on the bus. Like, there's all kinds of like scenarios where you need like a quick thing to do while you're idly doing something. It's not a clicker. It's not anywhere near a clicker. You have to be inputting, you have to be thinking about what you're doing, but not like you're not building an engine to the degree that you were on like a Monster Train or anything like that. It's not going to punish you. It's very quick. Like, even if you fail, you can get right back into what you were doing with minimal clicks and steps, which is cool.
And I imagine also in the same way that Vampire Survivors had, like, this game and Balatro and so many other games around it as well, has a ton of unlocks of, as you do in-game achievement kind of things, it unlocks even more power-ups and things for you to find on your runs or even start with. Like, the original Vampire Survivors had a bunch of like permanent unlocks as well, that, hey, you start with just higher health, or now you've upgraded this character enough and he gets more damage initially, and the multiplier starts higher before you go into a run. And I imagine this game has similar kinds of things.
Yep, 100%. Like, if you read through some of the reviews on Steam, at least, which, take that with a big dose of salt because it's Steam reviews, but
sure,
there's like a general thing where people are just like, yeah, it was okay. And then I looked up and I spent 3 hours playing it. And now I think it has a rough onboarding for people, like us included. And after I like successfully went down a level in a dungeon, which doesn't take very long, there's only 5 levels per dungeon, so they're quick. I was like, oh, that felt really cool. Oh, all right. And now I'm on second floor and I got a few upgraded cards. Ah, okay. So like, how are they meeting me? And as you go lower, the enemies become a bit more resilient and they become a bit more like it's cool. There's a good tit for tat here on when you're doing this, and you get just enough power. Like I've had a few runs where I was just like, this is silly. Like you all don't have I'm literally killing everybody with this combo. It was a very easily repeatable combo. And by the time I hit that third hit, it was fucking gross, dude. Absolutely gross. Like the card started off with like a net damage of like 120, which is pretty good. And by the time I was popping the card on each play, it was close to 1400. It was crazy to see the sequencing.
And I imagine that was probably a really strong combo that you got to use for a while. And then at some point the game, either had some kind of creature that you were fighting that had some kind of modifier on it that nullified that, or the numbers just got too big.
Yeah.
And it invalidated the amount of damage that you were doing. You needed to do and continue to exponentially get that number even higher, in the same way that the best Balatro runs
totally
or regular Vampire Survivors runs would have, where it's like, wow, there is that curve of I'm really underpowered, but I got a couple upgrades and whoa, okay, now I'm like so overpowered and I'm murdering everything. And then it starts to like curve back down of, oh, they caught up to me and I can't use this anymore. I
totally
fucked up in some way.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to that in that regard. But I'm having a great time with it. I do think that we should revisit it. I think it deserves another stream from us, just to like, let me show you why I'm enjoying this. Let me show you what a loop looks like. So I think that would be cool. We'll find time to do it. I can't remember what we were going to stream this week. I'd asked you like, hey, what do you want to see?
Was it
it wasn't Sol Sesto. We've talked about that.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll figure out a time to get it out there. There's a few games that I've got queued up for
Mouse.
you.
We were gonna play.
Oh yeah, Mouse PI. I've been playing that, but not. This game kind of has taken the Mouse PI thing, because when I'm on my computer, the last thing I'll just say is I think at the last section of Pragmata. Like I'm really close, I think, to like story stuff on that. So I'll give one more update on this stream, not this stream, on the actual Casual Hour proper once I beat it. But for me, Far Far West, I'm going to be spending time on that. I'm still playing a lot of Vampire Crawlers when I'm just chilling, and I've got 2 other big games I'm playing, and we're going to have a May preview next month with some other cool stuff coming. So lots of fun stuff there. But Chase, enough about my new games. You have, I don't know if this is new. Is it?
It depends on how you look at it. First, before I get into that though, this is I've gotten a bit of a transitional period right now, where for both Chase K Plays, I finished Knights of the Old Republic, which we talked about last week. And so I'm looking for a new Chase K Plays game, which is going to be the game I'm about to talk about. But then also I wrapped up Monster Hunter Stories 3 this last week. My final time was 80 hours and 40 minutes, which felt longer, honestly.
Sure.
And you could easily beat that game quicker, and I'm sure a lot of people have. But there were lots of things that I ended up going down some rabbit holes and going, oh well, I can just get this monster, and I can just get this mutation of this monster, and why don't I? And then it's like, oh shit, it's 4 a.m. Fuck, that wasn't supposed to happen. That happened a number of nights. There's still things that annoy me about that game. I feel like we've talked about this before and basically to death, but I still have all the same issues that I had before, while I still end up really liking that game at the end of the day. There are a lot of optional optional monsters that you can face to get like the really end game materials, to get the best gear There's a lot of stuff that they, in true Monster Hunter fashion, they just want you to repeat fighting the same fights a handful of different times to be able to get those same materials and build the best shit. But for the most part, I think you can get through that game and just play the story and some side stuff and get most of the end game stuff, and you will have perfectly strong shit by the end of that game. I did finally face the Elder Dragon that you faced at the very beginning of the game that I just completely skipped past. And I ended up defeating that thing. That thing gives you some incredible, like, the materials to make some incredible gear. It's got like a bunch of. Have you fought that one in like normal Monster Hunter?
Oh yeah, dude. Like that's where you get the cool shit. That's kind of like, that's when you've made it to like end game stuff, is when you're taking on the dragons. You might not like how it looks, but it definitely has like some of the best perks for sure.
I loved the way it looked, like the Nemesis or whatever it was called. Like it has like this tentacle helmet thing that looked really rad. The katana that you got for it looks like a fucking cyberpunk thing that has like glowing, like, gradient edging that continues to like glow. Like, that looked really fucking sweet. There's just some really cool stuff that you get near the end of that game.
Hell yeah.
And so I was pretty happy with some of that stuff. And to upgrade those fully, you need to fight even more crazy boss stuff that I did not want to do. I think I ended up at like level 87, which is pretty high. I don't think you have to really be higher than 70 something to be able to do any of those Elder Dragon fights. But I just kept playing stuff and having good times.
Hell yeah.
And finding ways of connecting things to my monsties and doing the gene stuff. So I ended up having a really good time with that game. I just could tell, though, as soon as I finished that game, I was going to not want to play it anymore. And so I wanted to do as much side stuff as I could before I was ready to put that game away.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lo and behold, I saw credits, and now I have no desire to go back to that game and do anything more. So that's good. Now I can move on. Now I can play other things. I can get to Pocopia or Dragon Quest VII or whatever the fuck's going to come out next month. We'll see next week when we do our May preview. I'm sure there will be something. But what I have been playing is a card game. I am also playing card games, Bobby. Specifically, I am playing the Pokemon trading card game Generations ROM hack, which is a ROM hack for the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color.
Okay.
A game that I deeply love and have loved for a long time. On Chasey Gay Plays, I did a series a few games ago, like a year and a half ago, that was called I'm Just a Bill, that I had a very good friend make some nice thumbnail art for me for that series, where I played through a ROM hack of Pokemon trading card game. That one was Pokemon trading card game Neo, where it added in some of the Neo Genesis expansion, like the cards that showed up after the cutoff for what was in the original Pokemon trading card game. And so it was cool to play with some of those new cards, some cards that I was somewhat nostalgic about, because I continued playing the Pokemon trading card game a little bit after.
Are you playing this on your Pocket, by the way?
I am playing this on my Pocket that I'm hooking up to my computer to record for Chasey Gay Plays. So Generations is a little bit different, but it's a very similar kind of style. It is what the developer here, the hacker here, Paperfire88 is the author of this hack. Pokemon TCG Generations is a ROM hack that replaces all the Pokemon in the game with some Pokemon from each of the generations 1 through 9. It changes attacks, resistances, Pokemon powers, and just like the originals, the sprites are directly based on cards from the TCG, so you might recognize some of that stuff. I am playing on the newest patch, which is 1.7.2, and 1.7 at the very least. It came out in August of 2025, so this is relatively new. Like the game itself, the hack first came out in 2023, but there have been continual updates to it to continue adding and changing things. So there is some newness to this. But I thought this was really interesting, just as a way to go back and play this game, re-experience a video game that I very much love and the mechanics that I very much love, but with new cards, new strategies, and so far, I got to say, it's been a blast.
That's awesome. We'll talk about this more on a future deep dive, but what I will just say in support of what you're doing is, as I've entered into like having a Thor and people that are working to make things work on that device has led down to just like, oh, what Chase talks about these like ROM hacks, or what I've really gotten into is people who are doing like remakes and HD upgrades on older games. And so I've really like gone down that level, but adjacent to what you're playing right now, the point I want to drive home is the communities that care about games are doing some really cool things for these games. And whether that's making them feel more quality of life improvements, or making them have better visuals, or like there's somebody,
or just like brand new content for old games that you loved. Yeah,
totally. So it's just fun because not only am I getting to play some of these types of games for the first time, I'm getting to play versions of them that feel really cool and like updated. And it feels like, hey, if you're going to play this game, you're going to get the core experience that like everybody loved, but we're not going to like make it as, unapproachable as maybe it was back 20, 30 years, 40 years ago. But it's cool to see, like I've even, I think, shared with you a couple ROM hacks of like some of the other Pokemon games. I'm like, hey, have you seen this one? Like I'm seeing more of these things pop up, and I get it now. I'm like, oh yeah, like, if you don't like what's been going on with Pokemon recently, there's some cool ways to go back to the version that you liked. And I think that's cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to see the passion of some people here and the ways they're fixing, or not necessarily fixing, but finding ways to challenge themselves. This ROM hack adds in dark type Pokemon, which was not typings that you had in that original game. And just the sprite work of being able to convert actual physical paper cards into that sprite work to make them look good in the game, the range of Pokemon that are available. It's been cool. It's just really interesting to see somebody's take on that, and somebody who is at least taking this seriously enough to say, hey, I want a lot of these cards to be really viable. And so they are tweaking cards and making cards stronger. Sometimes you're like, oh, a lot of these Pokemon have the same kind of attack that all just either finds an energy card and puts it into your hand, or puts an energy card directly onto another Pokemon. And it feels a little bit like, okay, you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over. But you also realize that, whoa, this is making the game a lot faster, a lot stronger. It's a really nice, thoughtful type of addition to a game like this. So I'm having a great time. I know I'll be talking about this more in the coming weeks as I continue to play more of this. I've got one of 8 medals right now. So I'm still extremely early. I recorded the second episode of the series.
Are you doing a full playthrough, by the way?
Do what?
You're doing a full playthrough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So the first episode came out today. I recorded the second episode also today. That'll be out next week. But yeah, having a really good time with this, and looking forward to playing this as long as it takes. But I usually record this on the weekends, but I was having so much fun that I was like, I need to go back and play more of that now. And so I recorded another session today, because I'm just,
hell yeah,
it's great. It's good stuff.
All right. Will you be moving this over to your Thor?
Probably not, because I'm specifically doing this for
that's true.
That's plays. But if I ever played this game again, or played another Pokemon TCG ROM hack, yeah, I would go on the Thor for sure.
Hell yeah. All right. So that was the epic conclusion of Monster Hunter Stories 3. And Chase has kicked off a new segment for Chase K Plays, but he's talking about Pokemon Trading Card Game Generations, which is a ROM hack of the Game Boy Color version.
And the Chase K Plays series is called I'm Still Just a Bill. So
Fair.
Yeah.
Still a bill.
And with new thumbnail art from one Bobby Fees. So thanks, Bobby, for throwing a little bit more into
a little pizzazz.
Good stuff.
Far West early access, very cool. Vampire crawlers, very, very cool. Lots of cool stuff this week to get you primed for maybe not such cool stuff. Cool stuff.
It's really nice that like the community's coming together and revitalizing old games, and we're finding ways of bringing new life to old shit, because it sounds like all the new shit is going to shit.
It's going to shit. You're right. I want to. All right, we're going to talk about Sony really quick. And I want to say at the time of recording, so we started this 9 p.m. Central on April 29th. An hour ago, Wario tweeted out that GameSpot had gotten a note from Sony. So the whole story here is that Sony recently put out an update for PS4 and PS5 games that people will be purchasing would require a once a month or once every 30-day digital check-in. So if you downloaded the digital game and you did that and like you don't have internet access normally, that game would cease to function if you were unable to connect your PlayStation back to a network every 30 days to authenticate the digital licensing of that video game. What's more crazy about this is that even Sony support, whether this was AI hallucination, I haven't used their chat, I'm assuming it's AI, but other people were getting confirmation from Sony support that this was in fact happening. There were people that allegedly were able to show with off-screen recording of their device, like what was going on and it not working in that regard. But Sony has come out and they said players can continue to access and play their purchase games as usual. A one-time online check is required to confirm the game's license, after which no further check-ins are required. So that's directly from Sony. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of things out there that people have receipts for that are proving otherwise. There's something going on. And all this is to what you were saying and what we were talking about earlier. GameStop is now coming out, really ringing the alarm bell for this one, because they say this doesn't happen with physical media, so come get physical media from us so you don't have to deal with it. It's funny to me because if this is true, this is the very thing that Sony dunked on Microsoft over when the Xbox One was announced, very famously, about this is a lighter approach to a similar thing. I don't know what to say. Sony has a statement out. People are allegedly putting out proof of this being a thing. I don't know what to think of it. It's not good either way.
On one hand, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? That
sure.
I imagine most PlayStation 4 and 5s are like mine, just hooked up to your house. They have internet access most of the time. A 30-day check-in is not a huge deal. Like, it's fine. But some people are going to struggle with that. Professional wrestlers, for some reason, not for some, like for a very specific reason, are ones who are affected by this a lot. They are on the road all the time.
Sure.
They are hooking up to hotels that don't always have Wi-Fi that will work with their consoles. They are sometimes, across the country and across the world, and don't have access to connect a console every 30 days to be able to play their video games. And I'm sure there are lots of other people who are in similar worlds to wrestlers. I don't know if they have a PS5 down at the Antarctic, science lab or whatever, but they are not always hooked up online. And when they are, they don't get very fast internet. So usually the idea is that you have a bunch of stuff preloaded onto your systems, and then you can take it with you and then have that stuff. And so to have to check in every 30 days can be a real pain in the ass for some of those people. And some of those people are really Sony loyalists. Like they have loved their PlayStations for a long time. So now to feel like they are kind of getting spit in the face That really sucks. Now,
It does.
As you mentioned, Sony is denying that this was really a thing. I've heard rumors going around that this was just to kind of stop fraudulent refunds of video games. I don't exactly know how that works, but I don't know, maybe.
Sure.
It does feel like a bit of an unforced error, though. Like this is not something that garners any goodwill with anyone, and even for the people who it doesn't affect, it still just feels kind of scummy. Where you go, what? Why do you have to do that? It seems unnecessary.
I agree with you. The same way that I think it's unnecessary to like force people to have a PlayStation account on Steam to play those games. Like, I think that's kind of shitty. And I think also in the same breath, you know, there's been some leaked memos from Sony that I think Jeff Grubb was the first to talk about, and maybe Jason Schreier was after that, but that Sony is allegedly going to be exiting releasing their first party games on PC. And
which makes sense. Like, it honestly never made sense to me why they would do it in the first place. I guess just to get more eyeballs on those things, but we've seen Xbox, you know, struggle to figure out what the fuck they are anymore once they said, "Oh, well, all of our games also show up on PCs." Because now, you know, what is an Xbox? And then they even tried to have a campaign of what an Xbox could be. And I'm like, guys, what the fuck?
Well, we'll talk about that here in just a second, because that's all.
Sure. But for Sony, it makes a little bit more sense of, we are building a machine. We put the games on the machine. You come and buy the machine to play those games. And when you put stuff on PC, you're telling people you don't need a PlayStation anymore. And I don't think that's what they want. I think they wanted just a little bit of the PC market while also maintaining their entire player base. And that's just not what gamers necessarily want.
On the other hand, though, there's two things I'll point to. One being, I'd love for you to go and look at Marathon data. I know you don't want to, but Marathon was like 77% of its entire player base was PC. And that is a first party Sony release game. And the fact that there was hardly anybody playing that on that console in comparison to PC for them, like, they should be strategic with it. The other thing I'll point to in the same breath is Starfield. That game's dog shit. It's a bad game, but it got a big update and it got launched on PlayStation a couple weeks ago, and it skyrocketed in sales again for some ungodly reason. People on Sony had enough time to realize that, like, this thing's a turd. But I think people,
it's a forbidden fruit. Like, that's not something they thought they were going to have access to, and now they do. Okay, let's give it a shot. Like, hey, you know,
right.
The last game I got to play from this was Skyrim on my PlayStation. So I don't know. I'll try the new one from the Skyrim games.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think that there's something to be said about just sheer volume. So, like, for them, like a Spider-Man, if Spider-Man, by the time Miles Morales is coming out, like, they're putting Spider-Man, at least one, out on PC. That's a big install base of people. Like, you've moved, like, that's a game from a prior generation of your platform that you can put out there. So, like, I think for Sony, the cost of their first party games, which they're not making anything from multiplayer, where a lot of those other games can benefit from a multi-plat, like, exclusivity deal. But these games are so expensive to put out. And I don't think that Naughty Dog has released anything that wasn't a remaster on the PlayStation 5, which is crazy to think about. And so, like, these big marquee studios that they have are seemingly being edged out of ways of delivering, like, some stuff. So they got to make their money up some way. I'm not here pushing that pencil. It just seems bad.
You're right. Those games are expensive, but at the same time, you could say that, well, hey, Nintendo should put their games out on every single console because they would sell more. That's true. They would sell more. But the reason you don't do that is because you want to entice people to buy the console, so then you can resell them on a number of things. So you can sell them onto PlayStation Plus. So you can sell them additional video games on your platform that you'll also get money from. And it's almost like a bit of a loss leader of, okay, we'll take a bit of a bath on this premium title that we know we could have made a lot more money. You're not taking a bath. You're still going to make money on it. You're just not going to make as much money as you could have if you put it everywhere. but you do that just so somebody goes and buys a PlayStation 5. You put out a system seller. They're called system sellers because they sell systems. And if you just say, well, God, you don't need a PlayStation to play God of War. We'll just put God of War on the PC. Then the people who go buy God of War on the PC have not bought a PlayStation 5 and are not continuing to buy games in your ecosystem. I think that is a very old way of thinking, and it's pretty outdated. And certainly the gamers out there have shown that they want games to be more accessible in more places. But if you didn't put Marathon on PC and just had it be on PlayStation, you'd have a lot more people playing it on PlayStation because it's the only place to play it. And some of those PC people, if they were really interested in Marathon, would have come over and bought a PlayStation 5. They probably wouldn't have been happy about it, paying tariff prices.
I don't know.
But they might have. Certainly it wouldn't have the player base that it has being in both spots. But you would have had some of those people go, oh, well, I guess I got to go buy a PlayStation if I'm going to play Marathon.
The big thing that I think you're missing is this feels very reactive from Sony in the Project Helix announcement from Microsoft, which is, hey, you're going to be able to play PC games and Xbox games on our next console. And Sony, I think, sees that as like really the catalyst here is we don't want an Xbox player to play God of War, to your point, on that where they can play it over here. And so we're going to remove, because I mean, it's going to, like, the new Xbox is going to have that integration. Like the Xbox app on PC, when I open that up now, it has my recently, like if I play games in Steam, they're pulled over in that and like shows. So Xbox is, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. I'll just say there's been some very big sweeping changes since Asha Sharma has taken over as CEO from Phil. That
has there been changes, or have they just said there are going to be?
There has been absolute material changes. Okay. So there was a lot of concern because Phil was the gamer, right? And this is an AI chick coming in to do this work. The thing that they've changed most recently that I think has made the biggest splash is they lowered the cost of Game Pass down. If you remember, that very famously got like a significant price hike. The catch here is they have removed Call of Duty from day one on Game Pass. So it's down from $29 for Ultimate to $22 a month. And that's their full premium experience. If you are doing the PC only one, it's down to, I believe, $12.99 is what it's down to now. And that gets you everything on Game Pass except for like the Ubisoft catalog. You don't get the Fortnite play, all that shit. There's some stuff that has leaked. There's a lot of stuff that's not confirmed yet, but they're allegedly partnering with Discord, and Discord is going to be baked into Ultimate now. So you'll get Discord Premium or Nitro, whatever they call that. But the most interesting, and this is regressing back 20 years ago in a way, they're going to let you kind of come in and build, like, what do you think you would want? Like, maybe I don't play Fortnite, but maybe I would want Discord. So that like gives me a lower bundle. Like I can take stuff out and kind of like build out my own individual subscription. Maybe I care about the indie games. Maybe I don't give a fuck about day one Xbox releases. Maybe I just want to have that. Maybe I want the cloud streaming. Who knows? But you'll be able to come in and check the boxes and get a number. And depending on what you want from their service, they're pushing affordability. And so Asha's come in and she's really been very vocal about those things. Today, a couple hours ago, that Microsoft did put out reports, and the hardware is down, quarter over quarter. It's down 35%. And their services are down by like 6 or 7%. They're in a very dire state. And so they're pulling out a lot of things right now that you could look at as like nostalgia baiting. They've switched back to the original Xbox screen. They have a whole new logo. The logo is actually pretty slick. From a designer standpoint, like I think the new logo is very cool looking. They put out wallpapers of the new Xbox logo for every generation as well. So like going back to the original one, they did that color scheme, the 360, the One era, the X era, et cetera. But they're talking also about, we're not like the first thing that she did was she completely destroyed the Everything's an Xbox campaign. Like that was gone the first week of her taking over. And now they've also dropped Microsoft Gaming. Like that's been done. They are distancing themselves from the name Microsoft in every way that they can. We are Xbox is like their cool mantra that they're going for. And they are simplifying their approach to this. So like Xbox Game Studios, Xbox this, nothing on brand will correlate them with Microsoft. I have a feeling there's a lot that goes with that, but is there a possibility that this gets spun out as like its own thing?
Sure. I mean, we've heard rumors that Microsoft, doesn't care about Xbox generally either. So if they want to say, hey, the feeling's mutual, sell us, make us our own thing.
Yeah. We'll go do this over here.
Sure, I guess.
So that's happening. The other big thing, they doubled down again on Project Helix, which is going to be the next Xbox console. The premium version of this is probably going to be between $900 and $1,200, which seems like a lot, but the PS5 Pro is $900 right now. All that's with inflation and tariffs and shit. So like, who the hell knows? The other
going back just a little bit, that would be an interesting way to get like out of the BDS thing. It's like, oh yeah, so we got spun off from Microsoft. We're not Microsoft anymore.
Totally.
I guess like
totally
stop boycotting us.
I think that has a lot to do with it, man. Like Microsoft is being boycotted.
I truly don't. I as much as I would love to think that the BDS movement is having a real material like impact on Microsoft, on Xbox. I don't think that's actually happening.
I don't think that's it. You're smart.
I think it's more that there are just so many other missteps that Xbox has had and Microsoft has had over the handful of the last couple of years that it's just the chickens coming home to roost, and the BDS is not helping things.
I don't think it is, but I also think that what Asha's been talking about, she is obsessing about the perception of the brand right now, primarily by current and ex users. And there's a lot of people that are